So Jurgen Klopp, Jurgen Klopp, Jurgen Klopp, Jurgen Klopp. I mean, he splits opinion. He splits opinion. If you're a Liverpool fan, you love him, and you love him to the death, to the end. But is he the right man for Liverpool Football Club at this moment in time? And will he be the manager of Liverpool Football Club come the start of next season? That is the topic we're going to discuss today, and that's certainly the topic that has been on the minds of most Liverpool fans. If you look on social media, you look on Twitter, you look on Instagram, you look everywhere, you talk to Liverpool fans on the street, down in the local pub, and sometimes the topic comes up in regards to Jurgen Klopp. Will he still be there next season? Now, as we very well know, Jurgen Klopp spent 7 seasons at Mainz. In his final season, things did not go well at all. Mainz were relegated, and Jurgen Klopp decided that is enough. He went to Borussia Dortmund, 7 very successful and fruitful seasons, but in his final seasons, things again went very badly, and Jurgen Klopp decided enough was enough. It's time to step away and go on to something new. And now at Liverpool, here we are in his 7th season as Liverpool manager. It's been 7 brilliant years. 7 of the best seasons I've seen as a Liverpool fan. I mean, there have been some good moments, bad moments. I mean, you think of that season a couple of years ago where Liverpool had all the injuries and everything else. That wasn't a particularly great season. And this year, obviously, hasn't been a great season at all. And it's the 7th season. Is Jurgen Klopp going to maybe decide at the end of the season that it's time for something new? Is it time for something new? And is it time for Liverpool to part ways with the man who has brought so many fond memories for Liverpool? He's undoubtedly the best manager the club has had since the days of Bob Paisley, Bill Shankly, Joe Fagan, and many others. He's in that conversation. He's in that bracket in terms of one of the greatest managers to ever manage Liverpool, especially when you look at where the club were when he took over. But the reason why the discussion is coming up in terms of Jurgen Klopp, because is he the right man for next season? Because things have been very bad this year. Things have been very, very bad. I mean, Liverpool last year were battling on all 4 fronts, battling for a quadruple. And this year, we haven't done anything other than beat Man United 7-0. There's been no highlights, no great moments, no good memories from this season. Beating Man City 1-0. But every time we've had a great result and had a good result, we followed it up with an abysmal result. I mean, beating Man City 1-0 and then losing to Nottingham Forest. Oh, great stuff. Beating Man United 7-0 and then losing to Bournemouth. I mean, there's towns in Ireland that are smaller than Bournemouth. I mean, I can't get my head around it, to be honest. And with this being Jurgen Klopp's 7th season, we're seeing them same trends that some of the players have stopped playing for him. They've stopped putting the effort in. They've stopped covering the yards. And it just looks like a team that hugely needs a rebuild. And is Jurgen Klopp the right man to get rid of the dead wood? Because there's so many players there that Klopp, I think, has been very, very loyal to. The likes of Fabinho, Curtis Jones, Jordan Henderson, these guys. And some of these, I think, need to be moved on. Players need to be moved on because they're just not good enough anymore. They are not good enough for Liverpool. And, we can't be sentimental towards certain players. Even the likes of Joel Matip, who I think, is getting on a bit. He's in his 30s now. He hasn't looked good this year. He's been a legend of Liverpool. And look, Liverpool as a football club need to be ruthless. And I think that's been the difference. But, we've looked at ourselves in Manchester City in the last 4 or 5 years. And we've been on a similar sort of trajectory in terms of winning. They've won a few more trophies than us, but we won the big one in the Champions League that they obviously haven't won, but they've won multiple Premier Leagues in fairness. But we've been neck and neck in terms of competing for trophies, give or take. The difference, I think, for Man City, especially going into this season compared to ourselves, is they showed a ruthless streak. Gabriel Jesus, been a legend for Man City, but you know what, we don't need you anymore, off you go. Raheem Sterling, was there in the great times, the great memories. We don't need you anymore. Off you go. Even João Cancelo in the January transfer window, Pep Guardiola decided, you know what, we don't want you anymore. And that's been the problem with Liverpool, with Jurgen Klopp in particular. We're not being ruthless enough. Like Jordan Henderson this year has been dreadful, absolutely dreadful. He's the captain of the club. He's a legend of the club. And, if he wants to stick it out for another season, fair enough. I think he has earned that. But I think at the same time, you need to look at it and think he's not going to be the man now to lead this club forward in terms of our midfield. Fabinho, far too inconsistent. Harvey Elliott's a young player, he might come good, I don't know, but there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of older players that just need to be moved on. And of course, a lot of it does boil down to the owners. It does boil down to Fenway Sports Group and their negligence, their lack of investment, and the fact that they just, haven't been able to see the same things that multiple Liverpool fans have been able to see, which is the fact that they thought going into the season, in terms of their midfield, that we didn't need to sign one. Now, I know we brought in Arthur, I think was his name, the guy that we seen for about 10 minutes versus Naples, and then he's just been on his holidays ever since. We don't know where he is or what he's doing. I don't even know if he's still a Liverpool player, but just that complete arrogance in some ways. And I think that's sometimes been something that I've seen this year that's cost Liverpool, has been arrogance. I think Klopp at times has been arrogant. I think the players have been arrogant. I think they've believed that they will be fine, they'll be okay, and things will come good. Against Bournemouth, for example, we just strutted around the pitch for the full 90 minutes and thought eventually something will happen. But time and time again this season, we've seen that nothing happens. We're just a bad team. And whether Klopp has had a big part to play in terms of the recruitment or in terms of not signing players, we don't know. But going out and signing Cody Gakpo, who has been fantastic for Liverpool so far, in fairness. But was he the right option rather than a midfielder who might have been available for Moses Caicedo, for example, of Brighton? He looked like a very good player there. 40 million apparently for him. Maybe getting him in would have been a better show than Gakpo, in my opinion. And then you go and get Gakpo in the summer. I don't know, but I just think the recruitment that's been a big issue. And the thing is with Klopp is that there's going to have to be a rebuild in the summer. He's shown that he's a bit too loyal to players at the best of times. Fair play to James Milner the other night against Real Madrid. Played brilliant, but we all know he shouldn't be there now. It should be a younger player taking up that space. It should be a new body coming in. And I think he's too loyal to too many players. And is he ruthless enough to move players on? We've seen when Klopp first came into Liverpool, he was ruthless, but he was ruthless because he didn't have a relationship with some of those players. The likes of Benteke, for example, he was very quick to get rid of him. Clearly wasn't good enough. Clearly didn't fit Jurgen Klopp's style of play. Get rid of him. Even though he wasn't a terrible player at the time. He scored an overhead kick at Old Trafford, for example. But even with some other players like Joe Allen and some of the other players, which to be fair, we all could see were not good enough. But even Mamadou Sakho as well, who actually looked quite good in his early years, and in that first season under Klopp, he looked like he was going to be the team that we're going to build the team around, a bit like Van Dijk, for example, in terms of our defence. But Klopp said, no, we don't want you here. And he was ruthless. But the problem is he's a relationship built with a lot of these players now. And I think, you're looking at Joel Matip, Joe Gomez, players that aren't good enough. I just don't think... And the injuries as well. Too many players getting injured. Naby Keita. That is something as well that really needs to be addressed. The recruit or the medical department or whatever the heck is going on there. But I think ultimately it is a tough one, and it is a question that is very hard to answer. I think you risk giving Klopp the summer, but he needs to clear the dead weight, and there needs to be a rebuild, and Liverpool need to start again, a bit like what they did in Klopp's first full season in charge, which was there was wholesale changes, new players coming in, and gradually year on year we strengthened, and then we built towards the point where we were able to win the Premier League and win the Champions League. And I think something like that needs to happen again, where Liverpool need to build, and they need to think for the future. Otherwise, we'll be caught adrift very, very quickly, and it will be years of mediocrity, a bit like what it was like when Rafa Benitez left Liverpool up until Jurgen Klopp, other than that one season under Brendan Rodgers where we nearly won the league. But even in that season, we didn't even win anything, so it was pointless, really, wasn't it? So there we go. I think only time will tell. I think he will be there next season. If I'm to answer the question, I think at this stage we would have known if he was going to leave. I think you look at how he left Mainz and Dortmund. It was very emotional days, and it would be the same at Anfield on his final day. And I think he would at least give a bit of notice, I think, to the supporters rather than just leaving. And I think he said clearly that he will be there next season, but he's got to be ruthless. He's got to be ruthless in the summer. Otherwise, we'll be sat here this time next year discussing the exact same things. And that is the big problem with Jurgen Klopp at the minute.